Your non-specific immunity is basically everything that you have as a human that keeps you from getting sick. Okay, so when I bring this up here, okay, we have 4 major types of immunity. Our non-specific immunity is also known as our innate immunity. It is what we're born with, okay? It's what we have as a human being to protect us from the bad guys. Your specific immune system, which is chapter 17, which we're going to talk about on Tuesday, that is really your cell's defenses, like your cell's army. So basically, if your non-specific fails and you get sick, your specific system needs to kick in so that you don't die, right? So there's protecting you from getting sick and then protecting you from dying because you're now sick. That's kind of like the 2 functions, all right? Then you have passive immunity. Sometimes it's called natural immunity. That's the immunity that you receive from your mother. So through the placenta, through colostrum in the breast milk, that is what you get, you know, as a fetus and as a newborn baby. So depending on how good your mom's immune system is. So if your mom has a really strong immune system and she has lots of good antibodies and she has lots of good proteins called cytokines, which we're going to talk about in a second, she can pass that on to you, which is really great. It's like free immunity, hooray. And then artificial immunity, sometimes it's also called active immunity. That's the immunity that you receive through vaccines. So vaccines, well, you know, we definitely talked about them. It was also what chapter 18 was all about. And certainly we'll continue talking about vaccines the rest of the semester, kind of here and there. But that's also a branch of your immunity. It's just you were given to it, you know, with a needle or something. It wasn't something that you were born with or something that your mother gave you, that kind of thing. So cytokines are essentially one of the major types of proteins within your immune response that serve as signals. There's lots of different types of cytokines. I've only listed a couple types here. There's all kinds of them out there. So again, they are proteins that the immune system uses to communicate with either each other or other parts of the body. So we have lymphokines. Lymphokines are cytokines produced by lymphocytes, which we'll talk about in a second here. Interferon, I already mentioned in the previous chapter. So interferon are antiviral cytokines, cytokines that help us in fighting viral infections. Interleukin-1 is involved in the inflammatory response and fever, which is part of this chapter. Chemokines are involved with chemotaxis, which is cell movement. We'll talk about that. And then tumor necrosis factors obviously are involved in cancer. So again, this is just a tiny sample of all the different cytokines that exist out there. So who are we talking about? It really is a big hodgepodge of things. It's really, there's almost kind of in a way no rhyme or reason to it. So we've got your skin. I already told you that your skin is your first line of defense. Your skin keeps a vast majority of the bad guys away. We already talked about mucous membranes. Mucous membranes are the guardians of the portals of entry. So anywhere in your body that's exposed to the outside environment needs mucous membrane, right? The one example that doesn't have it is your ear, but your ear has earwax instead of mucus. It does the same thing, right? That's the same idea. Various types of white blood cells, as well as the process of phagocytosis, is part of the non-specific immunity. inflammation or the inflammatory response, and fever. We're going to talk about all of these things. Remember what I told you guys what I'm going to do. So wherever we leave off with chapter 16 tonight, I'm going to make a video of myself finishing the rest of chapter 16. You can watch that video whenever you want to watch it. And then Tuesday, we will do chapter 17, because I definitely want to do chapter 17 while we can kind of discuss and talk instead of just making a video, because chapter 17 is more conceptual than chapter 16 is. I think chapter 16 is much easier, much more clear cut than chapter 17 is. So obviously, anytime that the skin is compromised, that can lead to an infection. We talked about that already. Goblet cells produce mucus. That's what the mucous membranes have. The mucous membranes have mucus. The lacrimal glands produce your tears. The salivary glands produce saliva, which help to cleanse and flush out those potential portals of entry. Your eyes, your mouth, constantly, exposed to the outer environment. That's why we have tears and saliva to kind of rinse it out and flush the bad guys out. I mentioned the ciliated epithelium of the respiratory system already. So the cilia, little tiny hairs, they catch the bacteria and the mold and the dust and the dirt and all that stuff that we breathe in. They catch it and they act very much like a filter. And then the mucus, the goblet cells, will make the mucus. The mucus will get it all, gummed up and all thick and sticky. And then you go and you bring it up, you swallow it. You don't even really think about it. It's like a subconscious kind of thing. And then it goes to your stomach and your stomach acid kills it. And then urination also has a flushing effect. Urine should always be sterile until it reaches the urethra, because the bacteria is always kind of hanging out a little bit at the end of the urethra. Vaginal secretions and vomiting are all non-specific things involved in preventing infection. Anytime you eat something and your body and your stomach says, get it out right now, whether you like it or not, it's happening, then that's what vomiting is. And that's your body saying whatever you ate is no good and we need to get it out of here now. And that's why you throw it up, so it doesn't make you sick later. So some chemical factors, obviously the sebaceous glands produce oil. You learned about that in AMP1. Our oily skin, our oily hair, the bacteria don't like that, and they don't grow very well in that environment. Sweat will help kind of also keep the bacteria away, although some bacteria do like to feed off of our sweat, which is gross. And then lysozyme. So lysozyme is this wonderful enzyme. Our bodies have the ability to produce it. It's in our sweat, it's in our tears, it's in saliva, it's also in breast milk, and it's very good at killing bacteria. It's one of the major ways that we're able to stay, pretty healthy, is our lysozyme production. And I just love the fact that it was Alexander Fleming who discovered lysozyme. The same guy who discovered penicillin discovered lysozyme. I mean, how awesome is that? And then, of course, our stomach acid. So our stomach acid really does kill the vast majority of things. It's very good at killing lots of different bad guys. All right, and I think we're just about out of time. So like I said, what I'll do is, starting with the next slide, so this one here, the one about white blood cells, I will do a video of myself. I'll probably do it tomorrow. I should have plenty of time to get that done tomorrow. So I will make a chapter 16 video. The rest of chapter 16 will be a video of me going through the PowerPoint. I'll hopefully get that done and posted tomorrow. And then you'll have over the weekend, if you want to watch it before we do chapter 17, probably be a good idea, I would say, to watch it before class on Tuesday if you can. If you can't for whatever reason, just make sure you get it watched at some point, okay? So then remember what we're going to do. I'll go ahead and stop sharing. So remember what we're going to do, okay? Next Tuesday,